Hello students, a very good morning to you. As you know that your UT is over, so we continue our chapter 11, that is transport in plants. In our last class, we have already studied about that how short distance transportation occurs in plants. Today we will see how long distance transportation occurs in plants. Means, as we know that most of the angiospermic plants, almost all the angiospermic plants bear vascular bundle or vascular tissue which help in transportation. So here we will study about long distance transportation. Means how for a long distance both transportation of food and water occurs or takes place in the plants. Clear? So in our last class I have told about in short distance transportation, diffusion, osmosis, active transport, passive transport, facilitated diffusion, etc., etc., etc. So here for long distance transportation, which substances are transported in plants? Which substances are required by plants in small amount? Which organs are involved in this? Which organ is help in the transportation of water and which organ help in the transportation of food? Then how do you know that transportation occur in plants? What are its proof? If you want to know through experiment, if you see or if you put some flowers, white color flowers in a colored water, then after some times you can see the color of the flower gets changed. Clear? So how this occur? It means something that present in the flower which absorbs water, colored water, and makes itself colored. So this is possible due to the vascular bundles which is called as xylem and phloem. So students, long distance transportation we can call it as translocation. We can call it as translocation. So how we define translocation? Translocation is the process of transportation of food and water through xylem and phloem. So how we define? It is the process in which food and water transported in plants to long distance by vascular tissue, phloem and xylem. So students, as we are studying about long distance transportation, so first we have to know about translocation. Here I define translocation. It is the process in which food and water transported in plants to long distance by vascular tissue, phloem and xylem. It means phloem carries food whereas xylem carries water. So I have told you just before 30 seconds that how do you know that transportation occur? If we want to see that transportation occur in plants, if you early in the morning cut the upper part or lower part of a small plant, then you can see there is some water comes out. Then where does this water come? It means the water is transported from root to the upward part, means towards the leaf. When we cut from the center or from the middle part of the plant, then its transportation gets stopped. From this experiment we can know that, or we know that always every time transportation occurs and the rate of transportation may be varied depending on the environmental condition, means temperature and humidity. So students, here I write about translocation. Again, why we need xylem and phloem for long distance transportation? What are the demerits of diffusion, osmosis, active transport and passive transport? Remember, through active transport, passive transport, diffusion and osmosis, there is transport only can be a short distance. Means if transportation occurs in higher plants through diffusion, then it will traveling 50 micrometer distance, it will take 2.5 seconds. Then you imagine this distance can not be measured in a simple scale. So you think if 2.5 seconds takes for 50 micrometer distance, if a large plant you see, then it will take millions of years or many years for the transportation to the all part in which the plant may die. Clear? That's why osmosis, diffusion, facilitated diffusion, then your active transport, passive transport are not sufficient to transport the mineral, ions and water in the plants. Clear, students? That's why here the movement of substance in the plant occurs through mass flow or bulk flow. This is called mass flow or bulk flow. It means when xylem carries water to different parts of the plant, it not only carries the water but also carries the solutes, minerals, etc., etc., etc. That's why they move through a streaming like cytoplasmic streaming. So this type of movement is called as mass flow or bulk flow. It means where the substances together move from root towards the shoot part by the help of xylem, that is called as mass flow or bulk flow. You can see how I define it. So again, for mass flow and bulk flow, here the pressure gradient, the solute gradient is most important. Here is the relation between water potential, pressure potential and solute potential. So we can define as the pressure potential, water potential and solute potential as psi W, means this is called as water potential, is equal to solute potential, means psi S plus psi P. It means solute, this represents water potential, this represents solute potential and this represents pressure potential. So students, here the movement of any substance depend on these three, means water potential is depend on the solute potential and the pressure potential. For bulk flow or for mass flow, here must be the solute potential and pressure potential should be more, due to which the substances can move from root part to the shoot part by the help of xylem. Clear, students? So again, as we know that the positive hydrostatic pressure, what do you mean by positive hydrostatic pressure and negative hydrostatic pressure? It means when we suck juice by the help of a straw, that is called as negative hydrostatic pressure. Or opposite hydrostatic pressure means we are putting force against the gravity, means when we put something from the gravity, then it will take energy. So this type of transport is called, or pressure is called, negative hydrostatic pressure. And when water moves itself, then it is called as positive hydrostatic pressure. So all these involve in the long distance transportation. Only some organs or some processes are not involved in long distance transportation. So in long distance transportation, many events occur in plants. So how this occur in plants, we will understand through the root system. As we know that the plant, when you see a higher plant, suppose this is a higher plant, it has a main root and millions of root hairs are arise from it, you can see. So the main root never absorbs water, solutes or minerals. Only the root hairs absorb water and they transfer it to the main root through different process. As you know, epidermis, then cortex, then pericycle, endodermis. Clear? Then during endodermis, you can see there the Casparian strips. How the movement of water occurs. So the root hairs absorb water and minerals, transport to the root, where in the root there is presence of vascular bundle, that is xylem and phloem, along with the xylary element and the phloem element, means tracheids, vessels which help in the upward movement of water. And it goes to the different parts of the plant, means towards the leaf. As we know that leaf synthesize food. Clear, students? So here, when root hairs absorb water, here osmosis occurs. Root hairs can't absorb maximum amount of water. So when the absorption occurs through root hair, then here osmosis or diffusion occur. But when it reaches to the main root, then there transport occurs, means long distance transport occur either due to root pressure or due to transpiration or transpirational pull, which we will study after this. So here you have to understand mass flow and bulk flow, in which solute, minerals, water all are transported through xylem, and for transportation there is a relation between the water potential psi W is equal to psi S means solute potential and psi P means pressure potential. So without pressure water can't move upward. Like when you put water in a balloon and you press it, then the water moves in the upward direction. Exactly, if the concentration gradient is more in the soil or in the earth, then it creates a difference, pressure difference and solute difference, the gradient of solute difference between the plant and the soil, due to which it moves in the upward direction and the movement of solute and mineral occurs. Clear? So next we will study about, our next topic is, I think you understand, translocation, then your mass flow or bulk flow. How do plants absorb water? Clear, students? So before it, let's know xylem, as I have told you, not only absorb mineral, water, solute, but also some organic substance. Whereas phloem absorb or phloem transports food, organic substance and inorganic substance, also some macro and micronutrients to different parts of the plant. So students, let's know how the root absorb this. How the roots absorb this. So our next topic is, how do plants absorb water? How do plants absorb water? As I have told you that plants absorb water by the help of root hairs. Clear? So root hairs, as I have told you, present in million numbers, and they increase the surface area for the absorption of more and more water. Clear? So root hairs are millions in number and they have a large surface area to absorb more and more water. You think root hairs are so small and the transportation occurs through diffusion. Is it possible to fulfill the water requirement of a large plant? That's why the root hairs are in large numbers or millions numbers, which transports from every root hair. There is transportation occurs to the main root, and again it moves in the upward direction. So students, if we see, then the water transported is through two means. One is apoplastic movement and another is symplastic movement. We will understand this. Apoplastic movement and symplastic movement. So what do you mean by these two type of transportation in plants? What is apoplastic and what is symplastic? So apoplastic movement, we can say that this is due to the adjacent cell walls and continuous throughout the plant except the Casparian strips. Again students, you are getting confused what is Casparian strip. As we know that epidermis, then your cortex, then endodermis, and between the endodermis the Casparian strip is present. If you see this diagram, you can see the diagram. These are the cells. You can see these are the cells. They are arranged like this. Clear? So here is the way to transfer. You can see here. Here is the way. So this part is your epidermis. Epidermis is the outer layer. You know this part is called your epidermis. Then this part is called as cortex. Just below the epidermis, cortex is present. And here the cells are loosely arranged and allows the entry of water or movement of water easily towards the rest of the parts like this. This is epidermis, then your cortex, and this part is called as, this part is your endodermis. This is the inner part of the cell. And when water enters to endodermis, here the Casparian strip is present. You can see this. This is called as Casparian strip. Means when water enters through epidermis, cortex and endodermis and move in this direction, after reaching into endodermis through Casparian strip, it prevents the entry of the water. Clear? So here I have told you, in apoplastic movement, water moves to epidermis, cortex and endodermis. Between the endodermis, the Casparian strip is present, which is waxy suberin material which do not allow the flow of water. So you can understand this. The transportation of water means by means of apoplastic movement occurs through various parts of the cell except at the Casparian strip. Means here no apoplastic movement occur. Then how the plant get water? So here symplastic movement occurs. It means both the type of movements are necessary for the movement of water, means apoplastic and symplastic. As I have told you, the demerits of apoplastic movement and symplastic movement. Through apoplastic movement, it can't cross the Casparian strip, whereas in symplastic movement, it can cross through the Casparian strip. Here sym means mutual or equal, or we can say as same. So here mutually or equally they are transport water towards the different parts. Clear, students? So we can say apoplastic movement of water occurs exclusively through the intercellular cells and the walls of the adjacent cells. What is intercellular cell? One is intracellular and another is intercellular. So here intercellular movement occurs. Suppose here are some cells. Then the movement will occur between the cells like this. These are the intercellular movement and through the adjacent cells. While they are transported from cell to cell and cell to cell, they transport the water except at the Casparian strip. But as I have told you that here symplastic movement occur, means alone in higher plants, alone through apoplastic movement, this long distance transportation is impossible. Remember, students, this is most important. Only through apoplastic movement, long distance transportation can't be occur in higher plants. So it needs both type of movements, means symplastic movement. Is that clear? So movement through the apoplast does not involve crossing the cell membrane, and this depend on the concentration gradient. It means if it can't cross the cell membrane, then it depend on the concentration gradient. Here we can write another point. Apoplastic movement depend on concentration gradient. Clear? It means, as I have told you before 2 minutes, that in concentration gradient, the concentration must be between the soil and the plant should be unequal, due to which the movement can occur by the help of mass flow. Clear? As water moves through the roots, here evaporation occurs. Due to evaporation, there is a pressure difference is created. Means more is the transportation, more is the evaporation. Due to evaporation, the pressure gradient, the concentration gradient get decreased in the plant and increased in the soil, due to which the plant absorb it. As you know, always the movement occurs from the region of high concentration to the region of low concentration. If continuously evaporation occurs through the leaf, then what happens? Then root absorbs the mineral, water, nutrient from the soil by the difference in their concentration gradient. It means the concentration gradient is more in soil and less in plant. So here, students, this depend on concentration gradient, means apoplastic movement depends on concentration gradient, and this also takes place due to cohesive and adhesive force. Here two new terms, cohesive and adhesive. Cohesive means co means mutual. Here the attraction takes place between the same molecules. Cohesive means the attraction takes place between the same molecules. Attraction takes place between the same molecules. It means if you see, then the molecules are arranged like this. Like this. Suppose they are equal. So here attraction will like this. So this type of force is called as cohesive, and this type of force is called adhesive. In adhesive, there is attraction between the water and xylary elements or vascular elements, means two different molecules. In cohesive, attraction between the same molecules, whereas in adhesive, attraction between two different molecules. So here apoplastic movement also uses depend on concentration gradient. Second point, it also depend on the cohesive and adhesive force. You can see here depend on cohesive and adhesive force or property of water. Clear, students? But the same plastic movement occurs between the interconnected protoplast. Here I have told you about apoplastic. Here the same plastic movement occurs between the adjacent protoplast, or interconnected protoplast. As we know that the protoplast are the living substance and they move along or move inside the cell. So through this interconnected protoplast, symplastic movements occur, and this is through cytoplasmic strand that extend through plasmodesmata. Clear? Do you know what is plasmodesmata? Plasmodesmata is the membrane which is present between the cell, just below the cell wall. Clear? So the plasmodesmata, it crosses the plasmodesmatal membrane through the interconnected protoplast due to their streaming movement. Streaming movement means, you know that streaming movement means, suppose the leaf of hydrilla. Have you ever seen the leaf of hydrilla? Its chloroplast always rotates, means in the direction of light. If you see the leaf clearly, or by putting or keeping one leaf, you can see its protoplast show streaming movement. Means if suppose this is the leaf, here is the chloroplast, then after some time you can see the chloroplast is here and here no chloroplast is found. So this type of movement is called as your streaming movement. Clear, student? So we can say that during symplastic movement, the water travels through cell, cytoplasm, clear, and intercellular movement occurs through plasmodesmata. Intercellular movement occurs through plasmodesmata. Intercellular movement occurs through plasmodesmata. So students, in symplastic movement, I have told you about plasmodesmata. You will study detail about this plasmodesmata in photosynthesis, but still you need to remember this, as we know that its movement is depend on the streaming of the cytoplasm or protoplasm. So its movement is slow when compared to apoplastic movement. Means in apoplastic movement, the movement of water is more, and in symplastic movement, the movement of water is less. That's why we can say that it is the most water flow of the roots not only occurs through symplast but also occurs through apoplast. Means both these movements and both these processes helps the plant in the movement. That's why we can say that if you put some question, ma'am, why apoplastic movement so more transport and symplastic movement so less transport, here we can say that in apoplastic movement the cells are loosely arranged. Due to their loose arrangement, the absorption will be maximum. And in symplastic movement, as cytoplasmic or protoplasmic streaming movement occurs, so here it can't be transport in a great speed. Clear? That's why we can say that water molecules are unable to penetrate the layer and they are directed to wall regions and they are not suberized into the cells through the membranes. Clear, students? That's why they have to cross the Casparian strip, then reaches to the cell. Clear? Then through xylem, means through tracheids and vessels. As you know that tracheids and vessels are the xylem elements and they help in the transportation of water to long distance. So after entering into the xylem and phloem, there is transportation occurs to long distance. Clear, students? So we can say that inside the xylem, water is again moved between cell walls to them. And in young plants, you can see this. As initially when I started this topic, I have told you that if you cut the plant, then you can see some water is ooze out. Means the water is come out from the plant. Then how this water come out? This water is transported through the tracheids and vessels. As we know, the tracheids and vessels are narrow tube-like structure like this. Less is the surface area, more is the pressure. So as their surface area is less, they are narrow. So when water enters through the root hairs into the root, then there is a capillary. Capillary force occur due to which the water move in upward direction. So if we cut the plant from its center, then we can see some liquids that come. If we collect these liquids in a test tube and we can see that which substance it contains. It contains water, minerals and other solutes. Clear? So this is how your transportation occurs in apoplastic and symplastic movement. Another example I want to give you mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza is the fungal association between the higher plants, the roots of higher plants. In this case, what happens? The mycorrhiza absorbs phosphorus and sulfur and it gives to the plant. So there are small narrow tube-like structure are arise from mycorrhiza through which these minerals and these nutrients are enter into the plant. Clear, students? So that's why the fungal part and the higher plants of the root have a mutual association that is called as mycorrhiza. They not only absorb but also help in trapping the atmospheric nitrogen. Means they create a path to trapping the atmospheric nitrogen, which mycorrhiza. So different type of association we can see that how roots absorb water from the soil. So here I have told you about different type of movement, apoplastic and symplastic, how they absorb water from the soil and transport it to the root and again root transports it to the higher plants, means to the leaf. Clear, students? Again, pinus seeds cannot germinate without the presence of mycorrhiza. Means pinus seeds are small, so they need the area where they should get nutrients. So pinus seeds to germinate, there must be presence of mycorrhiza. Clear? So this is all about your transportation, means through apoplastic and symplastic movement. Next we will study about water movement of a plant in the next class.